All right, let's move on, guys. We'll talk a little Cavaliers coming up. First, we got 2 reads we got to get in, though, because we are going a little longer on topics today, and that is perfectly fine. But 2 reads real quick. First, a new sponsor on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Did you guys know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? You can turn any TV into a gaming entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports, College Football 25 to Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, you can watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Max, and more. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controllers required. Available on select devices, including the Fire Stick, 4K TV, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and Fire TV Cube. Today's also brought to you guys by FanDuel. With the NBA playoffs in action, FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place a $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Don't miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and claim $250 in bonus bets today. We have 3 winning tickets to show you guys from the weekend. Our first comes from our guy, Cedric, who turned $10 into $703 on a multi-part same-game parlay from last week in the Bulls-Cavaliers game. We also got 2 submitted to us online. Steve, let's take the first ticket. This one comes from our guy, Darren. Darren's the second ticket. The first one comes from D'Angelo McQueen, who hit a multi-game, same-game parlay. That's Darren's winning ticket.
Darren hit again?
Darren won $10 into $248. Our next ticket comes from D'Angelo McQueen. He turned $5 into $76.32 on a Cavs same-game parlay. This one was against the Knicks on Thursday. If you have a winning ticket, make sure you guys send it in to us so we can feature it on the show.
A lot of barbecue.
A lot of barbecue.
A lot of barbecue.
A lot of barbecue.
Jay, we talked about this to start. Steve, you can drop this whenever you're ready. But the Cavs have a chance to clean up on the awards circuit. They at least have guys in the conversation for Coach of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, Most Improved Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. If there's an award, the Cavs have a good chance to win. So I figured we'd go through with the season officially being over and talk about the cases for some of the Cavs guys as to why they should be in said conversation. Let's start with the Coach of the Year conversation, where Kenny Atkinson is the FanDuel betting favorite. As of last check, he was a minus 325 favorite with J.B. Bickerstaff in second place at plus 200. Mark Dagnall, the Thunder coach, 22-1. J.J. Redick and Ime Udoka at 150-1. I don't necessarily agree with the odds. Udoka should be better than 150-1. But, Jason, you want to make the case for Kenny as to why he should be the coach at the end to take home the Coach of the Year trophy?
It's the easiest case to make.
Yeah, he's winning.
Yeah, they won 48 games last year, and they improved 14 games with the exact same roster?
Yeah.
What'd they win? 62? Is that where they finished?
64.
65.
No,
No,
16 more games.
Oh, 16.
Oh, yeah.
16 more.
64.
So this is he's going to win the award, and he should. When you bring back the entire team and all you do is you change the coach, and then you win 16 more games and you win the East, well, clearly the coach had an impact. And, again, that's to take nothing away. I've said all year, Evan gets all the credit for the improvement at Evan's game, and Donovan gets the credit for sort of taking a step back and allowing this team to flourish and grow the way it has. But ultimately, Kenny's the one pushing all the buttons, and the way that he has sort of revamped the offense, the way that he's used Evan and put him in spots to be successful, they haven't really lost much of the defensive identity that they had while completely overhauling the offensive side of it. This is a no-brainer. And, I'm thrilled for JB. JB's a good choice to finish second. I think it's the job he's done to Detroit is marvelous.
What was his win total improvement?
Oh, gosh.
Over 30, right?
They tripled. They're one of just a few teams in the handful of NBA history to more than triple their previous season.
So what they had
total.
last year and then this year? They won over 40 this year,
14 last year. This year they finished with a Detroit.
44?
44 and 38 record.
So that's plus 30.
That's incredible.
It is.
But
Wow.
when you start getting over that 60 line, like if they had only won 57, 58, 56,
Yeah.
I think JB'd have you can make a better case for JB. Certainly if they don't win the East, they haven't won if they don't finish first in the East, if they're second, JB's probably got a better case. But what the Cavs did was so overwhelming that I think Kenny had this award wrapped up quite a while ago, frankly.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think he's the safest pick, too.
Yeah, especially I think the biggest part is it's the same roster. And then you get guys like Ty Jerome who just look like, where'd he come from? Evan Mobley got better. Jarrett Allen played 82 games. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland had a bounce back year. Like, even the moves that they made by getting DeAndre Hunter, he comes in and immediately starts to contribute. So it's not like, it seemed like any button he pushed, everybody had a good season. Anytime you start to get over 61, 62, 63 games, it's going to be difficult. And throwing in the fact that the Boston Celtics was the champs, they're in the Eastern Conference. You clinched home court in the Eastern Conference. So listen, this is a two-man race. It is really a one-man race because I think he really got it in the bag.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the easiest one. I think they'll win one other one. They'll win the sixth man a year. I think Jarrett has a good chance to win defensive, so it may be three. Evan, yeah. I do think that it's JB had a great year, man. What he did should not be overlooked. And
he's a great head coach, and I'm glad he's getting the recognition for it.
I am
because
too.
He's a very good head coach.
He was probably at his lowest point in his career a year ago.
He's not perfect. He's got deficiencies, particularly on the offensive end.
Yeah.
But in terms of, you talk about establish a culture, the culture he established here in Cleveland gets overlooked too often, and it shouldn't. It was on fire.
Because it precedes winning.
When he walked in, they were a mess.
Yeah.
And he pulled the wreckage from the bottom of the sea and really sort of established an identity and a culture here that still continues today.
They were a mess.
Yeah.
I think people forget just how bad they were and where they were.
I got a call 2 weeks into training camp. Beeline's miserable, and he thinks he made a mistake. 2 weeks into the job, and I'm like, I can't write that. I can't go out and say that now. Like, people will think I'm crazy. Man, it's 2 weeks into the job. Turned out to be absolutely true. He ran off the job halfway through his first year.
Yeah. It was a nightmare, and he lifted them from those
Did
ashes.
he still get paid for that?
No, he gave the money back. That's how badly he wanted it.
Wow.
He left, right?
He left.
He resigned.
He said, keep it.
So,
I'm out.
yeah.
At the All-Star break of his first year here.
He gave the bag back.
Yep.
You know he wasn't trying to.
Well, it tells you how bad it was. Now, the assumption that you can take a lifer in a college program and bring him to the NBA at his age and he'll be able to adjust. Like, I don't even know what they were thinking with that move in the first place.
He's like, none of my stuff works here. Like, these guys look at me like I'm not doing
and the
that.
generation gap, the age difference was just like these NBA coaches need to be young.
I mean, we don't have to relitigate all this, but I think it's pretty evident how that all went down. It was the exact same thing. I think we've talked about this before. Dan wanted Blatt. Griff said, oh, my God, well, we have to get somebody in place to when this thing burns down. So Griff went out and got Ty Lue to sort of be the safety valve.
Right.
Dan wanted to go out and get Beeline, and they said, oh, my God, we got to have somebody who can put this thing back. So they went out and got JB. And in both cases, the interim guy did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, it's not an easy role to fill. But I do think that he'll win Coach of the Year. I think he deserves it. And I feel most comfortable about that one.
Agree.
Evan, I think six-man.
You want to do DPOY next?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
All right, so Steve, if you want to take the DPOY odds here, we'll get that up. But after a back and forth, the Vegas books still have Draymond Green as the betting favorite, Mobley in second, with Lou Dort, Dyson Daniels.
I thought
and
Mobley
Jarrett
became the
Jackson.
betting favorite.
That was the poly market, which is how they think.
Okay.
The betting favorites does not indicate the reality of how the award voting is going. I made the big case last week on why I thought Mobley should be DPOY, so you guys have heard. If you want to go back and hear that, you go on our YouTube channel. But G. Bush, and by the way, Mike Budenholzer just got fired, so that's another Phoenix coach on the outs. G. Bush, how do you think this award ends up shaking out, and why should Evan, if not be the winner, be in the conversation among the NBA's best defensive players?
Man, because he's better than them dudes defensively. Like, Draymond Green, don't get it twisted. He's had a great year, and it's actually a bounce-back year, in my opinion, for Draymond. I was getting ready for him to be up out of here.
It felt that way.
Yeah, but he came back a little bit. But listen, Mobley's young, athletic. I just like the fact that he can move his feet on the pick and roll. He contests. I believe he contested the most shots out of any of these guys by far. If you switch out, Evan Mobley still has the ability to move his feet against guards and smaller guys And, to me, I think the only reason he might not win it, or there could be a reason he doesn't, is because he's just really quiet. He should have been already amping this up. Like, bro, get G. Bush as your marketing manager, bro. You should have been talking Defensive Player of the Year like Myles Garrett all day and twice on Sunday, and people will come into the fold. Right now, Evan Mobley is not a household name. Like, he had a breakout. Now, he has an opportunity in the playoffs. That's where you really take that step, because, they'll anoint you in the playoffs if you're going to go take that next step. But coming into the year, he was not a – people know about him around NBA circles about how good of a defender he is. However, he got to pub it more. He should have been talking about this before the season, after the season, All-Star game, especially during All-Star. He said, yeah, hey, like Jaren Jackson, all y'all cats, that's nice. I'm about to win this award 3-4 years in a row. Just let you know that right now. There's nothing you can do about it. And if he would have pubbed it more, he would have got that look. I still think it's a 51% chance he wins just because of the way that they played and the way that the Cavs played this year. I still think he can win it. But next year, if you don't win it this year and you come in second place, I'm going to need you to start running your mouth early in the summer, talk about you the next Defensive Player of the Year coming up next year.
I can't disagree with any of that, really. I think that he's an emerging star. We see it every day. If you don't see it every day, you probably don't understand the full impact of what he is defensively. I think he deserves the Defensive Player of the Year, but oftentimes what you deserve and what you get doesn't align. And to your point, he's almost the antithesis of the guy that's going to win it. And I agree with you on Draymond. I don't want to say I'd written him off, but I'd said Draymond's past his prime.
Yeah.
And he's on the way out. And Draymond, to his credit, it was a nice bounce back here. And he's not afraid to toot his own horn. And I think that usually, sadly, gets rewarded more often than the guy who's quiet and just lets his play do the talking.
I've said it multiple times on this show. People don't know how to grade this award. The voters don't know. There's no great metric on how to go about assessing it, and that's why you wind up in situations like this. I think Mike laid out a great case for it last week. I think Evan deserves it. I'm not sure he's going to win it now. I think Draymond swayed a lot of voters with his platform, with the podcast, and it would be beneficial if we could agree on the terms of engagement for this award.
Jason's legitimately right.
But it's impossible though, because there's so many facets to it.
We've gone through the steals era,
right?
We've gone through the blocks era. It's like in the NFL, to make Miles' case, we came up with the pass rush win rate. We have to come up with something in the NBA to be able to better extrapolate who's really making a big impact on the defensive end. And really in the NFL, we say whoever leads the league in sacks, they're getting the award.
Right.
So defense is so hard to measure. You know better than anybody. You played it. It's hard to.
What do they do?
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to.
I like the shots defended and the fact that he is overwhelmingly the leader there.
He's second in shots contested this season.
Oh, I thought he was first.
Among the guys that
among the finalists.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Second in the NBA.
I mean, I just like his versatility. Like, you remember during the switch era, right? Even when you go back to like 2016, right? Remember how punitive it was when they kept hunting out Kevin Love and putting him in these pick and rolls.
They ran him off the floor.
They ran that man off the
And the Warriors got him off the floor.
And that was the era where people started to say, hey, bro, you can't have these bigs out here like this, especially because they're getting hunted like game. And so, like, you look at what Evan Mobley is able to do, and to a lesser extent, Jarrett Allen, it's a luxury to have somebody that long that can move their feet, where they're not a liability like that. You're not worried about, even with small guards that are shifty and quick, you're not worried about them blowing past Evan Mobley and he can't move. Like, Zach Edey. Like, there's certain games where you can't play him. Right. He's just not going to be able to be played. So I think you look at his versatility and the guys that he can cover, that should be worth something. And look, Draymond is one of those dudes. Draymond, his was kind of the opposite. He was a smaller guy that was able to bang and get down low with bigs. He was a little more of a hybrid. But now you got 2 7-footers that can move their feet. like Jarrett Allen and Mobley, and it's great.
I hope Evan can get it this year because I think Wemby's about to go on a.
Yeah, he might win it and never lose it again.
He was the heavy favorite to win it. And had he played 65 games when he
would
suffered
have won
the
it.
blood clot, I don't care if he missed the final whatever games.
Do
if
we
he had
know
meets
yet
the threshold.
how this will affect his career?
No.
There's really been no update.
Yeah,
I
no
mean,
update
is
yet.
anybody starting to get Chris Bosh vibes, or is it not to that level yet?
It's not to my knowledge, it's not to that
No,
level yet.
Basha was immediate, and I
They
don't
knew right
remember-
away with
yeah,
Chris. I couldn't
yeah.
remember if there was a build up to it, and then it was like boom.
Boy, I'm going off memory. I remember talking to him at the All-Star.
See, I thought there was an
it.
incident,
So-
and he had come back, and then all of a sudden it was
Yeah,
just like,
I
nope, that's
remember.
it, you're done.
If
I
you guys
remember
remember back an hour ago when we showed you the Boomers highlights, Dr. Benu with the 3 from
Yeah.
the corner, we actually were talking about this yesterday. He said the blood clot for Wemby he thought was more just because of how abnormal Wemby body-wise is. It was in his shoulder.
Right.
As opposed to Dame Lillard, who has one in his lower body, and he's he's a big guy, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but-
and he thought that was more concerning as opposed to Wemby's because Wemby's was more of an anomaly in just his body structure.
Yeah,
That could be
yeah.
figured out and fixed.
Those
more
long
easily.
guys
That was
have
just one
issues,
doctor's
blood
opinion.
issues, heart issues.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
Your body is not supposed to be that big.
Yeah.
No, but you're right, Jay. If this is a one-off and he comes back, he could win it and win it every year for a decade.
But I was just looking that up to see, and I think with like
Voter fatigue's real, though.
absolutely, if MVP guys run out of steam, I would think Wemby is Defensive Player of the Year. I was just looking it up. Mutombo won 4, 95, 97, 98, and 2001. So there's a couple years where he
Yeah.
didn't
Got
get
4,
it.
right?
Gobert has 4.
Gobert has 4. Howard has 3. Howard won it 3 years in a row, 9, 10, and 11. Rudy, 18, 19, 21, and 24. Ben Wallace, 2, 3, 5, and 6. So there's a year. I can't remember if he was hurt or what happened there. So, I mean, Wemby's probably going to go on a run here of 3 and 4, 4 and 5, something like that.
Yeah.
So this could be Evan's best chance here before Wemby goes on a little bit of a streak.
And I lean to the fact that, listen, the Cavs had the best record in the East. Like, I feel like
That counts.
that should
for
count
something.
for
Yeah.
something, man. Like, not saying the Golden State was trash, but Jimmy Butler really had them take off a little bit, like when they got him. But Cavs been doing it since Jump Street, so I think he should get a little boost for that.
All right, next award's the Sixth Man of the Year award, and the Cavs actually have 2 candidates in the top 5 of the gambling odds, even though neither is remotely close to being considered the favorite. Peyton Pritchard, minus 1,500, the heavy favorite. Malik Beasley in second at plus 650. Westbrook is 60 to 1. DeAndre Hunter, 150 to 1. Ty Jerome, 200 to 1. Before you guys go, let me give you my 2 cents on this one. Pritchard is most likely going to win.
Those are the longest.
Malik Beasley had one of the best shooting seasons in NBA history. Do you guys know the 3 players in NBA history who have made more than 305 threes in a season?
Steph.
Splash
One.
Brothers.
Nope. Steph is 1. Clay did not.
Was it?
Say it again.
There are 3 players in NBA history who have ever made at least 305 threes in a season. Steph Curry did it. Can you name the other 2?
305 threes in a season.
Man,
Ray Allen?
Ray Allen did it.
Nope.
No.
James Harden.
That's 2, and can
Wow.
you name the third? I'll give you a hint. He's on the screen. Malik Beasley for the Pistons.
Would not have
At
guessed that.
305.
Wow, I wouldn't have either.
He led the NBA in three-point makes this season. He had a shooting season that compares to any Klay Thompson season in the history of his career. He was that good as a catch-and-shoot three-point shooter for Detroit this season. He started a bunch of games. He started 20-something games, so I'm not sure if he truly qualifies, and that does mess up some of the numbers. But he was incredible as a shooter. But for my money, there was not a more impactful player minute by minute this season than Ty Jerome, who only played 19.8 minutes per game. But when you extrapolate that into per 36, it is not the end-all, be-all statistic because the Cavs didn't need him to play. But per 36, this guy this season averaged 22.7 points, 6.1 assists, 4.5 rebounds on 52 and 44% shooting. For the minutes played and the impact he made in those minutes, Ty Jerome, in my opinion, was the most impactful bench player in the league this season. He will not win the award. It's a shame because of the minutes he played compared to some of the bigger minute loads.
Yeah, what
that
did Pritchard play?
and
How
Beasley-
many minutes was Pritchard play? I was just going to look that up. I thought you had it there. I can look it up.
Peyton Pritchard this season played
28.
Yeah, close to 28 and a half minutes. So 10 more minutes a game, basically.
That's significant.
Than Ty Jerome. And his numbers, 14.3 points per game, 3.5 assists, 4 rebounds. So similar numbers. He just played in more volume. Minute by minute, Ty Jerome was the most impactful bench player in the league. I'll die on that
agree
hill.
with you.
He won't win the award, but I'll
Yeah.
die on the hill. He was the most impactful minute by minute bench player.
Yeah, if we said it before. If Ty Jerome started, he'd average 24, 25 a game this year. It's wild. I don't know where he would be. Like, he's a regular. Like, at some point, you're just good. And at this point, I just got to say Ty Jerome is good. Like, I can't say that he's having a great year. He just might be him. I don't know why. He's just good now, bro.
It's the most unexpected story of the season. I think when you talk about he didn't play at all. He sprained his ankle and missed the whole year. And to come back and do what he did this year is totally unexpected. All the play, it's funny. He's joking, but he's not joking. He gets mad every time people say no one thought he could sustain it. Nobody thought he could sustain it. Kenny didn't think it. Teammates, nobody thought.
No, we kept saying, when's the regression?
Yeah, it's a credit to him. But I don't think nobody outside of Ty Jerome and his mama thought he could do this.
At all. And his mom was, I don't know, baby.
When he wasn't in the room, she would say, I don't know how long this fairy tale can continue.
You know he way over his head. You
should tell him put everything he's got in the bank.
Get them stocks ready to go. This Ty Jerome stock.
No,
Hey, look.
I think you're right. I think he's been the most impactful. I'd say this. I'm glad we got two of those guys because you're going to need them.
Yeah,
when you get into playoff matchups and rotations and whatnot, it gives Kenny a couple of extra cards in his hand to use. And that is invaluable this time of year.
All right, last award we're going to get to today is the Clutch Player of the Year. The odds on this one, depending on the sportsbook, vary dramatically. On FanDuel, Brunson's the favorite now at -200. Jokic second at +220. Trae Young third at +600. And Edwards at 60-1. Darius Garland at 200-1. We've done the Darius Garland clutch discussion before. The most updated numbers on the season, Garland scored 103 points in clutch situations this season. That's at NBA.com. Categorizes that by the last 5 minutes and/or overtime of a game within 5 points. So as soon as a possession is not happening when the teams are within 5 points, it is not considered a clutch possession. Once it gets cut back into 5 points, it is a clutch possession. So he scored 103 points in the clutch this season. In the clutch, shot 53.4% from the floor. He shot 45% from three, 86.5% from the free throw line. He had 20 assists to just 4 turnovers, a 5-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. That was number 1 in the NBA. He had 6 steals, which ranked in the top 10 in terms of all clutch performers in the NBA this season. That 103 points, it ranked 8th, but among the players 1 through 8, it was the second highest field goal percentage behind only Nikola Jokic and the best 3-point percentage of any of the players in the top 10 of the NBA in clutch scoring. So the efficiency was there. But part of the reason his numbers, 103 points, is far lower than Anthony Edwards, who finished with 157. The most in basketball was he only played in 34 games in clutch moments, which was a lot fewer.
Well, it's because they
than
had
a lot of
blowouts.
the teams they
The
played.
Cavs hammered a
and
lot.
I can't punish him for that.
They hammered a lot of teams.
I think if you dig into the metrics, I want to know not just close and late numbers. I want to know how they compare to every other situation. So you're +9 in shooting percentage. You're +4 in free throw percentage. Your 3-point percentage is +11. I want the biggest disparity between the normal subset of numbers and the close and late numbers.
I mean, you want it real quick?
If you can gather it.
Yeah, I got you right now.
Okay, yeah, but before you give them, you said that the Ty Jerome story is the story of the year.
Yeah.
It's hard to disagree with that. But I got to tell you guys, where Darius Garland is today compared to where he was last year, that also can't be poo-pooed.
Yeah.
That is an immense story because we were talking about what do you get for this guy when you trade him?
Right.
You know,
His
it's
trade
And
value.
no, you were talking about.
I was,
When
but
you
there
say
were.
we,
I
let's
wasn't the
clarify,
only person
you
that was.
you.
I wasn't alone.
UNG,
Okay, and I'm not even talking about people in this room. I'm talking about people outside this room.
Hey, man,
what are we going to get for him? We didn't sell high. What is he worth?
And
this
rightfully
dude
so,
is
he
back.
played
He's
terrible
back.
last year.
He
He
is
played
back.
bad last year. Well, I don't know why you can't say he didn't play bad last year.
He'll
did.
tell you
He
he
did
played
terrible.
bad.
Like,
That's what happens when you have to eat out of a straw. Like when you eat through a straw, I guess it has more of an impact than we thought, and we shouldn't be surprised though because it's one of the most aerobic sport. I mean, your physical fitness has to be there, And it wasn't. And he just couldn't get himself back to where he needed to be.
Guys lose weight every season from
just from the game.
Just from the running.
Now put no solid food into your body.
Yeah.
For a stretch of a month and a half or 2 months or whatever it was. So I think that's a major story, and I'd be curious to see, Mike, how his improvements in close and late compared to the other candidates.
Oh, I have Darius's numbers straight up.
Yeah,
I don't have everyone else.
I know that's too much. But
Darius on the season shot. Steve, just take his full season stats full, and then I'll show you what he did in the clutch compared to that. So if you take this full, this is what he did on the season. So those are his numbers for the entire season.
Right.
His field goal percentage in the clutch was 53.4.
Wow.
So 6.2%
That's a big
higher
jump.
in the clutch than throughout the entire game. He shot 45% from three in the clutch, up 5 percentage points compared to his regular season. From the free throw line, I know it's not on there, but he shot 87.8%. He shot 86.7%, so 1 percentage lower, but basically the same. On the regular season, he averaged 6.7 assists per game and 2.5 turnovers, so that's about a 2.5 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. In the clutch this season, he had 20 assists to just 4 turnovers as a 5 to 1. So we almost doubled his official.
That's incredible.
His plus minus in the clutch this season was a plus 85, 12 points higher than Şengün on the Houston Rockets for number 2 in the NBA. I'm not saying he should be the definitive runaway winner.
Yeah, because we don't know what those numbers are for the other guys. And
All I'm saying is the fact that he is 200 to 1, despite being the most efficient clutch scorer in basketball this season.
Yeah.
The odds are worth at least sprinkling a few dollars. I don't think he's going to win. He certainly should not be 200 to 1.
Well, here's why he's 200 to 1. And this is human nature. Like, when you look at the Cavs season, what happens is you go down the line. We just named Evan Mobley, who could probably win Defensive Player of the Year, as well as stepped his game up offensively and more, just more dominant, more assertive. So that takes a little bit of light away. You look at Kenny Atkinson coming in and winning all those games with the same roster. That takes a little light away. You get DeAndre Hunter, who's in the 6-man, but you got Ty Jerome with a storyline like they're both from Virginia, they're best friends, and they come off the bench, and both of them are getting up for the 6-man of the year award. And then you throw in the fact that you still got Jarrett Allen, who's a member of the core 4, and you still got Donovan Mitchell, who's still currently the best guy on your team, and is more of the alpha type personality. He takes a lot of shots in the clutch as well. So what happens is you start looking at the whole thing, and you're like, well, that's a very bright staff. That's a very bright team. It's hard to see somebody's individual light when everybody else is bright around them.
That's true.
So every time we watch the Cavs, they're like, oh, we got all of these things to look at. And Darius Garland kind of gets missed in that. And when you look at those other teams, you got Joker. He's by far the dominant guy on his team. Ant, he's the dude. Trae Young, he's the man. Jalen Brunson these are unquestionably the guy on the team. And sometimes we conflate being clutch with being the man. And so usually you got one closer. You don't have two. And I think that the Cavs have more of a 2-closer type deal.
They actually have 3 because Mobley has been really good in the clutch this season. We're going to move on after this, but I just want to, just for comparison's sakes, because we gave you all Darius's numbers. Donovan is the guy we think of his closing numbers. This season, Darius had 103 points in clutch situations. Donovan had 88. Darius shot 53.4% from the floor in the clutch. Donovan shot 36.7% in the clutch. From 3, Darius was 9 for 20 from 3, 45%. Donovan was 11 for 30, 36.7%. Donovan shot 78.6% from the free throw line. Donovan had 9 assists, 8 turnovers in the clutch. Darius had 20 assists, 4 turnovers.
That is stunning.
There is no comparison who was the most clutch player and the most efficient scorer and offensive creator for the Cavaliers in those clutch situations this season. It was not Donovan Mitchell. It was not Evan Mobley. It was Darius Garland,
definitively.
and it wasn't close.
Yeah, it was definitively Darius Garland.
But guess who's going to take them shots, though?
Well, I don't know. Like it's
a good problem to have.
What happens when you get in the playoffs and when your superstar isn't your closer?
You know who's going to take that shot. We all know who's going to take.
I don't know because Donovan's a guy that doesn't have an ego. He's not going to complain about it after the game if he doesn't take it, or if he doesn't get to take it.
No, he's not. But
Listening to those stats, I think it's pretty easy. I want Garland taking it.
That's the thing. Sometimes stats do lie. Like stats, like you would think your perception is Donovan Mitchell is a better closer and he's going to take the shot. Numbers say that Darius Garland this year is better at the percentages, and you want him taking the shot.
When LeBron was here, you knew he was getting the shot. It didn't matter if they double, tripled. It didn't matter. It was going to LeBron.
And the other team
unless David Blatt was calling the play up, drawing the play up, and then you had to scratch it. But the reality is, with the way this team is built, if they try and double Donovan, they'll swing it to Darius for that shot, or in some instances, Evan. But I think it will start in Donovan's hands, or I think it would be intended for Donovan. But depending on how teams guard it, will dictate how that goes.
Again, though, what a great luxury to have.
It really is.
This could spiral, but I'm going to ask the question. How was it that Kyrie just took that shot then? Like, was that a play call, or he just was like, no, I'm taking that?
I mean, that game, they had gone scoreless for like 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it was a big drought.
Long drought.
Yeah. At a bad time.
They were exhausted. Both teams were physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted. And he just stepped into it and hit the biggest shot. Look, because, so we're having two different conversations. Right. That was within the flow of the game.
Yeah.
We're talking about like ATO coming out of a timeout, you're drawing something up. Who's getting the that's what I was talking about with the Donovan. You're going to start with Donovan, but if they're going to double him coming off the ball or whatever, they're going to deny him the ball. There's other counters to that, or there's other ways to get the ball to other guys. Yeah. That shot was just flow of the game, flow of the moment. Missed shot, rebound, come down.
Yeah, and it just happened. It wasn't drawn up. Mike, one thing before I know we have to move off, but I want to give kudos to Kenny Atkinson for something that he did long term. I'd love to have a real truth serum conversation. I think he's pretty transparent.
He is.
Incredibly.
One of the things that I have to give him a ton of credit for, he resisted the temptation to go for 67. He resisted the temptation to go for 72. We had a pretty heated discussion in this room when they started 15-0 about, so what are they going to do now? And I had brought up the point, I don't know that you were here that day, Jason, but I had said, I don't care a rat's ass about numbers, individual records, team wins, most wins ever. Ask Golden State how they feel about putting their pedal to the metal to get 73. And I had said, did it definitively cost them the championship that year?
No.
Absolutely not. Is it possible it played a factor? Well, earlier in this show, we were talking about Emmanuel Clase and how all of a sudden his usage became completely different. And where is he now? He wasn't as effective when they doubled up his usage, and he's now not effective 6 months later. I just felt that there's nothing to gain by winning 67 games.
Yeah, there's nuance to that argument. I mean, you could look at the Patriots going undefeated and then losing the Super Bowl. I think there's a mental component to all of that as well.
I agree.
On top of the physical. But at no point, I mean, the Cavs were pretty transparent early on. It's like, we ain't accomplished nothing yet. We've got our eyes set on bigger prizes.
He prioritized usage.
Yeah, which
I think he should have.
I think they sat Donovan then the game before Boston when they were unbeaten. If memory serves, they were like 13-0 or 14-0.
It was a scheduled rest day from the get-go.
And they said,
were not deviating.
Yeah, and they said, we said, take the emotion out of it. We sat down and looked at the schedule and said, this is a day that bodies are going to be running in the red. We're sitting them here. And they stuck to it. And I tend to agree. 66 would be great. 67 would be. But ultimately,
give me a trophy.
It's not going to matter. And I remember, it's before I covered the Cavs. It's before I was a beat writer, but I was there when they won 66 games and lost in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And Dan said, it's a failure. The season's a failure. Nobody cares about 66 wins. We didn't win at the end.
They were supposed to play Kobe and LeBron.
That's exactly
and lost.
Right.
Yeah.
It is a failure if you don't win the championship. And I love the way, even when they were close, I mean, if you think about it, they lost the Pacers game in overtime. Like, that one wouldn't have been a difference because it only would have been 65. But there were games the last couple of weeks where they could have easily made some adjustments and won those games. And Kenny stuck to the plan. Someone said yesterday, oh, my God, the lead over Boston ended up was only 3 games. And I said, 2 more games than it needed to be.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Only got to win by 1. That's it.
Win by 1. There's no trophy for winning 66.
I should have mentioned this when we were talking about Kenny for Coach of the Year, but think about this. If he wins it, and I think he's going to, And I know, like, Bull has now poo-pooed the Coach of the
Regular
Year
season.
awards. But Stefanski's won it within the last couple of years. Stephen Vogt has won it. And now if Kenny wins it, you're doing something right if you win Coach of the Year. Can we agree on that?
You're doing a lot right.
You're doing more right than wrong.
Except in basketball where you get fired the next year. Dang, bro.
Well, it's a championship.
It's championship.
Yeah.
There's a run now of coaches being fired 2 years after they won the championship.